Hey guys, today we're going to chat about planning and tracking your food. So in the last couple of lessons we've gone through ratios, so how to figure out the amount of food you're supposed to be eating and your portion sizes. We've discussed quality and quantity of your food, so you've got an idea of the spectrum of foods that you're eating and that there are no good or bad. Now we're going to discuss a little bit more about planning and tracking your week, because my biggest thing I know is that your success comes from preparation, reflection, and also accountability or awareness of what's going on. If you don't track or have a plan, how do you know how you're going? So doing that with your food is extremely important. Now, my number one thing is starting off with planning is knowing your ratios, which we figured out in the first week. So if you need to do that again, go back to that lesson, which I will link in the article, and figure out your calories, macros, and your portion sizing. Then next up, we're going the quality versus quantity. So the important thing about this is understanding the quality of foods versus the quantity that you're eating, what foods are of high quality, what foods are of low quality, and figuring out the 80-20 rule, what you want to incorporate into your day. Once you know that and you've got an idea of what foods are, how much to eat, then it's time to start planning. Now, my biggest thing with planning is using a meal planner. So like you've probably seen one, it's a basic overview of your week with lots of the different days and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, this is great because you can plan this whether you're a meal prepper or whether you're someone who has a very varied or flexible schedule. I would start off with that, sit down at the start of your week and plan what you're wanting to eat for those meals, but have a little bit of flexibility depending on your lifestyle. So as you remembered from the first week, a balanced meal is a portion of protein, palm of protein, half cup hand of carb, fist of veggies, and a thumb of fats. So if you're going out or out and about or having snacks, you need to understand that balance over the day. Meal plan is great though for getting the basis of your week sorted. Now, I would base it on your schedule, not what you think you should do. So I know a lot of people say that they've been told about breakfast being the most important meal of the day. That's okay, like as long as your overall intake is your correct ratio, that's what you want to focus on. So for most people, I'd say if you don't enjoy eating till late in the morning, that's okay. If that's how your hormones want to work, you can eat later. But make sure that you're keeping the quality of your food and the routine of your day similar each day. So your hormones and your appetite regulation will get a lot better if you can continue to do that every week. Cool? So base it around your schedule and what suits you rather than what you think you should be doing. Although if you're not eating till the afternoon, you're starving, you're eating a lot, that's probably not a great idea. So be prepared in advance. Now, when it comes to what you're actually eating, you can either meal prep, so plan and prepare your meals every week. So usually on the day that you plan your meal plan, you'd say what you need on your actual recipes. So what ingredients you need for your recipes. Then go out and make them. So having your meals in the preparation for the week. We usually make like a big tub of a meat or a protein in 2 different flavors and then use them throughout the week with a bit of rice or quinoa on the side and some veggies, like either frozen veggies or some spinach. That can be the basis of your meal prep for the week. And then planning your snacks and anything else you are going to have for your day so that it's readily available and you don't go for convenience options. Now, if you're someone who can't meal prep or you have trouble doing that, you've got other options such as using leftovers from the night before every day for lunch or doing a meal prep service or using a meal prep company. If that's the case, then that can be an easy way for you to meal prep without actually having to cook, but you're still prepared, you're planned, you're organized. And the same deal with having snacks available. I would also say planning healthier snacks, like if you are someone who loves chocolate and you can't really control yourself at the moment and you eat the whole thing, using healthier snack options like protein balls or making yogurt or mix with something that's going to satisfy that craving is also good to add into your week. And I would also plan your 80-20. So when are you going to eat out or when do you want snacks or treats per week that you've got that little bit of wiggle room to eat. You don't want to have an extremely constricted week planned out because if you do not hit that, then obviously you're going to think, I'm a failure, when of course you could still hit your goals with 80-20. So either plan out whether every day you want to have a little bit of wiggle room and have a little bit of a snack or a bit of a higher calorie treat, or whether on the weekend you want to have a big meal or two that you really go out and have a big meal out. Let's give that a little bit of a go. So having a plan is very important for your week and also helps you stay on top of what you're going to do meal prep wise or snack wise. I also say set your intention for the week. So you know your overall caloric goal, what is your biggest intention? If there's a certain habit that you want to integrate that week, then make sure that is your biggest intention. You don't want to try and change too many habits at once. You want to try and keep it consistent. Then over the weeks when you do your reflection, you can see if you've got the balance between so your overall intake is something sustainable and discipline that you're actually putting in the effort to keeping on track with your habits, your goals, and your overall intake. Cool? Hopefully that covers a little bit about planning. Extremely important for the start of your week. Now, if you've planned, that's all very well, good, and you can reflect on it, but if you don't have any data or anything that you've done that week, how are you going to know what you did well at, what you could have done better, and what you need to change, and all the lessons that you're learning about yourself and your food? So to do that, we do tracking. Yay. So we've already been introduced to MyFitnessPal and your food diary back in week 1 and week 2, but now we have to use it in a little bit more detail. So you've probably played around with it. First things first is, if you're already struggling a little bit with calories, macros back in week 1, just start with your portion sizing and start using your food diary to get into the habit of actually tracking it. I'd start there, but then once you've got that clear, that's when we start diving into using MyFitnessPal. Either use it to track daily, which I highly recommend, or using it as a check-in every week to make sure you're on track with what you've planned to eat. So first of all, you're going to figure out your overall goal for the week and make sure that's inputted into MyFitnessPal, and then start tracking every day. But then over the end of the week, you can see how you went. Now, my biggest tips for MyFitnessPal are these. This can help you stay on track with MyFitnessPal, whether you're using it for your weekly awareness and then just tracking in your food diary for accuracy, or as I highly recommend, using it as a daily app. First things first is, I like doing what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the day before, if I've got my meal plan there, I know what I'm going to do, I actually input it already so that by that next day, I don't have to track unless I need to switch something out for something else that I've had. That helps me stay on track as pretty much, like I said, a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've already said what I'm going to eat. I've got it planned, prepped, just ready to go. Then all you need to do is eat it. That's one of my greatest tips for making sure that you stay on track. Only thing you have to do is the night before, usually just after your dinner, when you've got that little bit of reflection time, is putting it into MyFitnessPal. Should only take 5 minutes. That is also from the next one, when you build a quick database or meals into MyFitnessPal. Now, it'll remember the most recent or most popular foods that you put into MyFitnessPal. So while the first time you're using it, you might take a little while to find some foods, or the verified ones might not come up first. Soon, you have a really good database. And we're all creatures of habit, usually the similar foods will come up each week. And I also think there's a meal section in MyFitnessPal that you can make. So if you regularly have a smoothie or a chicken dish or a certain protein ball recipe, you can actually make it into a meal and then just sub it in nice and quick. That's what I do every morning for my green smoothie I have for breakfast. I just go click into my meals, click green smoothie, it goes straight over. I don't have to put in every single ingredient. Cool? Other thing is setting a reminder to track. So MyFitnessPal has a little prompt that you can do to set a reminder to track, or put it in your phone for the end of the night. So whether you're using it as a self-fulfilling prophecy or just remind yourself to track that day, make sure you've got something in there that is reminding you to do that. Plus, MyFitnessPal does this really handy streak thing, which is a really great way to keep you motivated. So keep your streak going every day is another way to make sure that you do your MyFitnessPal. Give yourself some options for your cravings. I find this really helpful, like finding recipes online, protein balls, or I've put a few up in our recipe section on the website. If you are finding you're getting cravey or having issues with like your hormones or hunger or sweets, add in a better option and then start using that as your new habit. So I have them in my meals, like I often have protein balls I've made, or using like a protein bar, or using yogurts mixed with stuff. That's a good way to make sure you're eliminating your cravings but still staying on track. Budgeting my day, so making sure that I can eat a little bit more of something if I want, but that means I'm going to have to eat something a little bit less of something else. So if I'm going out for a big dinner, I may want to eat more voluminous food, so low quantity, high quality foods earlier in the day to save up those calories for later. Or I might just reduce my overall intake over the week so that I can have a little bit more on the weekend. So you try and budget your overall intake and then fit in what suits you best. I also like to make notes on my emotions, cravings, and my digestion on certain days. You can write this either in your food diary or there's a little notes section in MyFitnessPal that can help you keep track of where a certain day certain foods made you bloated and feel sick, whether you had a certain emotional eating sort of saga one day. It's a good idea to think what was happening that day and what could I have done to make that a little bit better. And also making sure you've got any cravings or specific foods that you just seem to really, really want. It's a good idea to make sure that you're noting those down so you can either make a healthier option or incorporate them in a healthy way. Cool. Once you've done MyFitnessPal, you've tracked every week, that's when you can do a reflection. So reflect on how you went that week. Did you hit your goals? Were you incorporating your biggest habit, your biggest intention If so, awesome, then that's time to stay consistent and keep up that habit, because over time that's going to help to build you. But if not, it's time to alter. So the things that you need to tweak, whether it's your overall intake, your habits, your plan, anything like that, the only way you know how to do that is if you actually have data to use. So guys, hopefully that helps you out on the planning and tracking side of your munch section of your food and helps you get a little bit more awareness of your week.